The front page of The Observer, and Conservative doubts about the recent budget, Diane. Concern among Red Wall MPs.
Well, yeah, definitely. So The Observer leads with the headline, Red Wall seats are being put at risk by cavalier tax cuts, Liz Truss warned. So Lord O'Neill, who is a former Tory Treasury Minister and who recommended a lot of investment in the North when he was working under David Cameron, has said that he's really, really worried that there's all these new rules that they're bringing in, the new mini-budget, is seriously just blue wall focused, and he's worried that it's not really going to help the north of England, and all the people who voted for the Tories are just going to be let down, and that red wall that they won is going to collapse. Because it's all very well saying that we're going to have these investment zones. Like, that's kind of the part of the mini-budget that he identified as saying, you know, at least this is a good thing because the investment zones, there's like 38 of them. But again, they may end up favouring Conservative-led areas. Because do you know what? I think they're going to make them bid for the investment in these investment zones. And what I have noticed historically is that Tory places seem to be better at bidding for things than Labour-held constituencies. And, like, I don't know whether it's because there's a certain way of doing a PowerPoint presentation that Tories all learn, and, like, maybe Labour, they're doing it maybe a bit too arty.
Well, are Labour still faxing?
I think they're faxing. I think they're trying to go super left, and they're submitting some of their bids in, like, interpretive dance, which is, like, amiable but not helpful.
It's very good. Well, it's very good for the environment.
It's so good for the environment to sort of, you know, vogue your way into money, but I don't think it's going to work. And, of course, what we've got to remember is that the households in London and the southeast of England, this is what people have done a Resolution Foundation analysis, have basically said that the mini-budget is going to really benefit the south and southeast of England, like 3 times as much as the north. And that is not fair. That's not right. And that's not levelling up.
Well, that's right. I mean, there wasn't much mention of levelling up in yesterday's mini-budget. And it feels, doesn't it, Josh, like a Boris Johnson policy that went with him?
Yeah. I mean, they're appealing to the core Tory vote. But is that going to be enough to get them in again? I mean, this is a massive gamble. And it feels very cavalier. It feels, I know some people go, oh, finally we have a Conservative government. Well, I don't know if Conservatives were known for just gambling and just chucking it all at the wall and seeing what sticks, which is seemingly what they're doing. Look, if this works out, brilliant. If this can kickstart the economy. But they call it trickle-down economics because it trickles. There's very little that does come down to, if there is stuff that comes through the rest of the population, it's a trickle, as opposed to the massive wealth. Yeah, it's not waterfall economics, it's trickle down, i.e. we're going to get the scraps left at the end of it. And so the poorest fifth of households are going to gain £90 on average from this thing. But then the top 5% are gaining, you know, on average £2,500, which they don't necessarily need. And the millionaires out there are getting like 50 grand, essentially. So it's very frustrating. And the thing is, we're going to be paying for it. That money has to come from somewhere. And so it's like either they're going to get in which case the Tories are going to get in 2 years' time, in which case they're going to then put the taxes up because they've got another 5 years or whatever, or it's going to be up to a Labour government to sort this mess out.
Well, yes. However, I think that, you know, many on the government side have argued that this policy has been mischaracterised as trickle-down, which essentially is an American idea under Reagan, which is to hand massive tax cuts to really rich people in the hope that they spend it, which boosts the economy. Whereas the idea is these are sort of supply-side reforms to encourage investment, job creation, wage increases, that kind of thing. The idea is you boost the output of the economy, you make the economy bigger and more prosperous, which is therefore more national wealth with which to share with everyone.
But when you cut corporation tax, the problem is, like, the idea is that, they're going to put that into wages or investment? No.
Well, that's exactly the hope.
Well, that's the hope. Where does it go? It goes to the shareholders. It goes to the rich people anyway. So it's been proven that it doesn't work.
But if corporation tax is low, don't you also attract other businesses to come here or indeed incentivise people to start new ones?
There is that argument as well.
I mean, I'll share my theory with you. I think that this budget is one that on paper looks disgraceful, but in reality, in terms of what it will achieve, will be quite successful. So I think the optics are a disaster. Getting rid of the cap on bankers' bonuses is a gift for Labour, isn't it? And letting the rich off with a massive sort of, tax holiday. But the bottom line is that they are going for growth. I don't think that Liz Truss cares about making rich people richer. She wants to see GDP increase so that in 2 years' time she can go, look, we are growing our way through this crisis, not borrowing.
Do you know what? I mean, I get it, because there were some other articles, and one of them said that apparently if they manage to add an extra 1% a year to the GDP, then these measures will pay for themselves. So that's interesting. But the problem is that people are about to go through the winter now.
Yeah.
And it's all very well sort of saying, oh, well, because we've created all these, people will come in the future and bring all this money. And it's kind of like, great, but we need people to be helped now. And a very good idea, in my opinion, was said by Sam Robinson of the Liberal Conservative Bright Blue think tank. What a pretty name. Sam Robinson said, when it comes to income tax, it would have been far better to raise the starting threshold for the basic rate. And I thought, now that's an interesting idea.
Well, yeah, of course, it would have gone to the people who actually needed it.
Yeah,
take it up to 15 or 17,500.
Exactly.
Or cut VAT.
I mean, can we get Kwasi on the line?
That's my salary, so let's take it up to that.
OK, very sensible.
Can we tweak Kwasi? Can we say, since you're going to bring it out, can we add this in?
That speech, not too late for a rewrite, is it?
Why not, right?
Correct. Look, I think it's a very, very interesting budget. We've been talking about it for 2 days, and no doubt the debate will rage on, but I think you both raise very valid points.